Look at the Matthew 5, right? 5:17 is a favorite of Sabbatarians. Jesus said he didn't come to abolish. You're saying he abolished Sabbath? But look at what he goes on to say, Jesus. He actually upturns, he contradicts the penal system established by God under Torah when he says, love your enemies. Unqualified statement. So now you can't kill the burglar according to Torah. And then he talks about adultery in Matthew 5. Comes to the heart, not so much the action. So he goes on, even in Matthew 5, to contradict at times the very law he said he did not come to abolish. So how is that? Some of the Torah, the Old Covenant law, Jesus is sometimes doing away with, sometimes what we call spiritualizes it, puts it in the heart situation. But the biggest change in that Matthew 5 is the penal system. Love your enemies. I mean, you have heard it said, love your neighbor, hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies. And then he says that that's how we become a child of God. That's a huge change. He rebukes Peter for using the weapons of war and so on. So, but if he's really upholding the Sabbath, upholding everything to do with the law of Moses at that time, he's obviously a lawbreaker, sinner. Because he obviously does and teaches things that are sometimes clearly contrary to. Look at the Matthew 5. I forgot about this one. The oaths. Matthew 5:36. And he says, don't swear by anyone. Now, oaths are Torah commandments. Make your oaths to the altar, make your oaths to the priest, make your oaths to God. And Jesus says, do not take an oath, for you cannot make one hair white or black. He does away with the oaths there. And then we read about the temple tax. Remember the temple tax? Peter comes running and says, hey, Jesus, they're asking me, did we pay the temple tax? And then he tells them about the kingdom, a kingdom story. The sons of the kingdom are free. But, so we do not offend them. And that's a weird thing for a Torah-keeping Jesus to say. So we don't offend our fellow Torah-keeping Jews? Pay it. Again, if you can show me how this statement of Jesus in Matthew 23, therefore do whatever they tell you and keep it, is not contradicting, it's not making you make Jesus a lawbreaker, a sinner then, which is what we're accused of doing, by the way. Certainly accusing me of teaching that Jesus was a lawbreaker, therefore a sinner, and these are fellow Christians telling me this. The evidence that I have found when I really looked into this is overwhelming. You know, I found at least 20 instances, 20, where Jesus either contradicts, changes, does something to the former law that he's not supposed to be doing if he's a Torah. I had to look into these matters.